Hello and welcome to the Contractor Briefing, Safety, Health, and Environmental. This training is valid for 2 years from the date you take this class. The purpose of this presentation is to apprise the contracting company of Daikin and QuietFlex specific requirements. The project manager and/or supervisor from the contracting company is required to review this presentation prior to commencement of work at Daikin. The contracting company is responsible for EH&S compliance by its own employees and subcontractors and for dissemination of EH&S requirements to its employees and subcontractors before any contractual work begins. This presentation is a digest of basic applicable company and regulatory standards, and should not be considered as a substitute for provisions of the Occupational Safety and Health Act of 1970 or other local, state, and federal occupational safety and health programs. Any discrepancy between this presentation and regulatory and contractual requirements shall be resolved by using the most stringent requirement. Goodman. A member of Daikin Group. Environmental, Health, and Safety Policy Statement. At Goodman, we are resolutely committed to the protection of our employees, those with whom we interact, and the environment. In this regard, Goodman will continue to comply with all relevant environmental, health, and safety regulatory requirements, establish goals to promote continual improvement in workplace safety and environmental stewardship, demonstrate our commitment through active and visible involvement and support of all environmental, health, and safety initiatives throughout the organization, recognize employees, contractors, and vendors for their support of our environmental, health, and safety goals and initiatives, empower employees to elevate environmental, health, and safety concerns to senior management levels if needed, set job expectations and assign accountability to all employees, contractors, and vendors for the ongoing support of, and compliance with our environmental, health, and safety initiatives, support environmental, health, and safety programs by supplying appropriate resources as necessary to ensure ongoing maintenance and continual improvement, provide appropriate training and information to all relevant parties to ensure environmental, health, and safety goals are met, conduct periodic audits to ensure environmental, health, and safety program initiatives are current and compliant. Goodman Global Group, Incorporated is firmly committed to the protection of our employees, neighbors, the environment and the prevention of pollution. Through our ongoing and collective efforts, we will continue to advance these values. ISO 14001 is an environmental management system standard that provides the organization with a structure to reduce its impact to the environment and assures compliance to regulations. Essence of the environmental policy. C. Continual improvement. O. Obey laws and regulations. P. Protect the environment. Objectives. Conserve resources. Recycle. Prevent pollution. Daikin Manufacturing and QuietFlex are committed to providing a safe and healthy workplace for all individuals, including contractors. Daikin selects and conducts business only with contractors that have demonstrated a high degree of concern for the safety of their employees. Rule of thumb: if you cannot carry on a conversation in a normal tone of voice, with someone at arm's length, you are likely near 90 dBA. All hearing protection devices should have a noise reduction rating, NRR, equals to the numbers of decibels they will reduce noise levels. Be conservative when using NRRs. There are some areas requiring hearing protection. Please see the following map. All contractors, including subcontractor personnel, shall be familiar with and comply, at all times, with all applicable regulations while performing work on Daikin premises. The contractor shall carefully read and evaluate the safety provisions of each work assignment to determine the safety requirements of the assignment. This includes but is not limited to the assignment of personnel, training requirements and required safety equipment. The contractor is responsible for ensuring flow down of safety, health and environmental information, provided by Daikin, to all their employees and subcontractors. Any contractor found to be in violation of the Daikin safety policy is subject to the loss of work privileges. All jobs found to be non-compliant are subject to work stoppage until corrective actions. Incident prevention will be the responsibility of the contractor to initiate and maintain programs to provide for daily safety inspections of the job sites, materials, tools, and equipment. Provide only those employees qualified by training, licensed or experienced, as appropriate, to operate machinery, tools, or equipment. Ensure warnings are posted to inform employees of hazards or potential hazards. Ensure that affected employees receive necessary first aid or medical treatment. Promptly report all incidents, injuries, or illnesses to EH&S, including spills, releases, and near misses. Secure the area and equipment if blood or other bodily fluids are present. Smoking is prohibited inside buildings or within 25 feet of any building entrances except in designated smoking areas that may be located near doors. Use the smoking receptacles when discarding smoking materials. The use of all tobacco products is prohibited except in designated areas. No alcoholic beverages, drugs, explosives, firearms, ammunition, gambling material or persons under the influence of alcohol drugs will be permitted on the company property. Contractors must familiarize themselves with the facility evacuation plan. Contact the EH&S representative for the location and access to the plan. In the event of an emergency, everyone should follow the instructors to the closest exit and report to the outside of the building to be accounted for at the emergency assembly area, nearest EAA. Only when the all-clear signal has been given may the contractor employees report back to their jobs or task. Follow the instructions of authorities and use good judgment. Evacuate, leave using the nearest exit, or alternate if nearest exit is blocked. Never use an elevator. Take personal belongings, medicine, keys, purse, wallet, cell phone, coat, but do not delay your exit to retrieve items. Follow procedures to secure hazardous materials or equipment before leaving. If unable to exit, move to designated areas of refuge. Once outside, go to the designated assembly area. Do not re-enter until instructed by authorities. Fire, activate nearest fire alarm. Evacuate when alarm sounds. If smoke is present, stay low to the floor. Call 911 when safe to do so. Leave doors open and report to your EAA. Suspicious person, do not confront, stop, or apprehend the person. Note the person's description and suspicious activity. Call security, provide details on the person and his/her direction of travel. Explosion, evacuate. If smoke is present, stay low to the floor. Watch out for falling debris. Take cover and protect head. If you become trapped, tap on a wall or pipe to alert rescuers. Call 911 when safe to do so. Suspicious object, do not touch or disturb object. Call 911. Prepare to evacuate if instructed. Violent incident, evacuate if a safe route is available. If it is unsafe to escape, hide out in an area out of view. Block entry to your hiding place and lock the door. Stay behind solid objects away from door. Turn off lights, computers, radios. Put cell phones on vibrate. Call 9 security or 911 when safe to do so. Hazardous materials release, move away from the site of the hazard to a safe location. Stay upwind, call environmental health and safety on P2-10, alert others to stay clear of the area. Notify emergency personnel if you have been exposed or have information about the release. Follow the instructions of authorities and use good judgment. Shelter in place. Severe weather, shelter in place locations, rotunda, auditorium, first level PODs, break rooms, restrooms and interior conference rooms. Follow emergency shutdown procedures to secure hazardous materials or equipment before leaving. Move to the shelter, taking your medications. Remain sheltered until instructed it is safe to leave. Tornado. Seek shelter immediately. Go to internal, lowest area of safety away from windows and glass. Go to shelter in place location. Close all doors, including main corridors. crouch near the floor or under heavy, well-supported objects and cover head. If outside, move inside a sturdy structure or lie down in a low area such as a ditch and cover your head. Call 911 to report injuries, fire, gas leaks, debris, etc. Medical emergency. If illness or injury is serious, do not move the person. Call 911 and EHS on P2-10. If appropriate and available, get someone trained in CPR or AED to help. Notify security to meet emergency personnel outside and direct them to the person's location. Earthquake. If inside, stay there. Shelter in place, drop, cover and hold on. If there is nothing to hide under, crouch near an interior wall and cover head. If outside, stay outside and move away from buildings, street lights, and utility wires. Only evacuate if additional hazards threaten your safety. Call 911 to report injuries, fire, gas leaks, debris, etc. Site emergency contacts. Project Manager. Security dispatch at 713-346-6756. When reporting an incident, use department names, door and column numbers to pinpoint your location. The Wellness Center can be reached at extension 5969. For additional information see the EAP under the EHS tab on the Good Minute. Daikin maintains a database of hazardous chemicals used at Daikin and QuietFlex facilities. Safety data sheets, SDS, for those hazardous chemicals are available from your point of contact. Contractors with employees working on Daikin premises shall review their hazardous chemicals and provide training and personal protective equipment, as required, to employees to safely perform their work. The contractor must obtain approval from EHS before bringing any chemicals on site, and provide the appropriate SDS. Hazardous materials on company premises shall be labeled in compliance with OSHA 29 CFR 1910.1200. Hazard communication. Labels must be legible and replaced when torn or defaced. Secondary containers must also be labeled. Traffic safety. Remain on the indicated paths while walking in manufacturing and distribution areas. Pedestrians must make eye-to-eye contact with all oncoming driver. Stop, look, and point. Stop at all crossings and intersections regardless if stop signs are present. Open floor areas are for designated construction work and are not to be used for pedestrian traffic unless traveling to your work area. No electronic devices used while walking. Vehicle safety. Only trained and authorized persons are allowed to operate an aerial lift. Contractors must assure that work zones are inspected for hazards and take corrective actions to eliminate such hazards before and during operation of an aerial lift. Work area must be taped off and use a spotter during operation of lift. What to do while operating an aerial lift: must wear fall protection and ensure work area is free of trip hazards. Remain on the indicated paths while walking in manufacturing and distribution areas. Pedestrians must make eye-to-eye contact with all oncoming driver. Stop, look, and point. Stop at all crossings and intersections regardless if stop signs are present. Open floor areas are for designated construction work and are not to be used for pedestrian traffic unless traveling to your work area. No electronic devices used while walking. Horn, reflectors, flag are required on all bicycles. No parking in pedestrian or vehicle aisles. Travel should be limited to aisles where designated floor markings are noted. Open floor areas are for design construction and not for vehicle traffic unless traveling to your drop-off or pickup location. Pedestrian have the right-of-way. Stop, look, honk, and point. At all crossings and intersections, regardless of stop signs, make eye-to-eye contact with all oncoming pedestrians. Check for other traffic. Bicycles are to comply with the same safety rules as powered industrial truck, and no electronic devices used while operation of a vehicle. Travel should be limited to main aisles where designated floor markings are noted. Open floor areas are for design construction and not for vehicle traffic unless traveling to your drop-off or pickup location. Stop, look, honk, and point At all crossings and intersections, regardless of stop signs, make eye-to-eye contact with all oncoming pedestrians. Check for other traffic. Pedestrian have the right of way. No electronic devices used while operation of a vehicle. Driving safe, 5 miles per hour max driving speed in MFG, and 8 miles per hour in DC warehouse. Maintain sufficient distance. Minimum of 36 inches between forklift and all pedestrians. Maintain sufficient distance. Minimum 10 feet between vehicles. Stop at every intersection. No matter what. Stop, look, point, and honk at all intersections. All limbs must remain on the inside of the equipment while stopped and in motion. No dragging forks while operating equipment. Forks no higher than 6 inches when in motion. When view is obstructed, drive equipment backwards. In kitting area, one-way single lane for exiting to assembly. No rounding the corners, stay out of the pedestrian walkways. No reversing in one-way aisles. No bulldozing. Loading safe, always wear gloves when attaching and detaching cart hooks. Always wear gloves and Kevlar sleeves when handling sharp objects. Lifting safe, only lift a maximum of 2 containers at one time. Never use forklifts to lift other equipment. No distracted driving, ever. No food or drink on equipment. No side-by-side driving and or side-by-side talking. Both hands must be on the steering controls while equipment in motion. No Bluetooth headphones, speaker or phones devices allowed while operating equipment. No texting or phone used while operating equipment. No parts allowed in driver's seat area at all. No carrying parts while driving. Stop for safety incidents, stop immediately, do not move anything from the scene, immediately notify leadership. Stopping and parking safe, you must come to a full stop before getting off the equipment. You must come to a full stop before using a scanner. No carts are allowed to be parked in the main aisle. No parking in any aisleway. Stop for emergencies, immediately stop all powered equipment, lower forks, and turn lights on. Under no circumstances are forklift drivers allowed to block and pedestrian easeways. This leads to safety hazards such as forklift pedestrian accidents. In buildings where cranes are in operation, the crane operator will blow a whistle or sound a buzzer to warn personnel of approaching cranes and loads. At no time will personnel stand or walk under a crane load. The use of hoisting equipment such as powered cranes or hand-powered hoisting devices is prohibited unless training records for all operators have been provided to EH&S prior to operation. Air emissions from operations at the company are regulated under the Clean Air Act. The intent of these regulations is to control air quality by reducing or eliminating hazardous air emissions, ensure that only materials approved for the job are used, keep solvent and paint containers closed to minimize air emissions, notify EH&S for questions relative to chemical use at Daikin. Compressed gas tanks shall be turned off when not in use. Notify your Daikin point of contact as to the location of the confined space, S, and the entry and exit times or any problems encountered. Permits are issued through our maintenance department. Contractors shall provide their own confined space entry and safety-related equipment, that is, air monitoring equipment, rescue tripod, harness, lanyard, etc. A competent person shall be available to assess the inherent dangers in confined space entry prior to entry by all authorized personnel. Daikin's confined space permit must be completed and a copy maintained with the affected department for 1 year. Extension cords, constructed of metal junction boxes and flexible cords shall not be used. Stay clear of high-voltage locations, unless approved by the point of contact. Ground fault circuit interrupters, GFCI, are required when operating power tools from an electrical cord set. Piggybacking of electrical cords is prohibited. Contractors shall provide their own fall protection equipment, that is, harness, lanyard, vertical/horizontal lifelines, etc. Company-owned fall protection equipment or components are not to be used by contractors. All hot work operations must be conducted under the control of a hot work permit that has been pre-approved by the EH&S department and issued through maintenance department. Welding on an automatic sprinkler system is prohibited. Only approved containers and portable tanks shall be used for storage and handling of flammable and combustible liquids. A new permit is required at the beginning of each work shift or as the result of changed work locations or conditions. All hot work shall be properly shielded when performed within or outside any building. When performing hot work in enclosed areas, the contractor is responsible for performing LEL and oxygen measurements prior to and during the operations. The appropriate fire extinguisher must be within reach, and the area must be clear of combustibles and flammables. Training records must be provided for all employees performing hot work in a Daikin or Quiet Flex facility. Provide the point of contact with documentation of LOTO training for those employees engaged in, supervising, or serving as a standby for LOTO activities. Contractors are required to provide their own locks. Affected company and contractor employees shall be informed of LOTO activities in their work area. Never remove someone else's tag. Eye wash stations and fire extinguishers are located throughout the facility. For quick drenching or flushing of the eyes and body for emergency use only. Fire extinguishers are to be used by trained personnel only. Personal protective equipment, PPE. Notice: on the manufacturing floor, safety glasses, hearing protection and steel-toe shoes are required. Daikin has trained medical professionals on site and contacted on Radio P2 Channel 10. First aid supplies for minor injuries are the responsibility of the contractor and transportation for minor medical care is the responsibility of the contractor. All incidents or injuries, no matter how minor, must be reported to the Daikin representative and EH&S. The Daikin representative is responsible for generating an incident report to document and forward it to EH&S within 24 hours of the incident. A copy of the incident report and first report of injury must be forwarded to EH&S within 24 hours of the incident. Contractors employed in connection with the construction, painting, repairing, maintenance, renovation, demolition of any fixed structure or its parts shall comply with OSHA Standard 29 CFR Part 1926 for the construction industry. Contractors may also have compliance requirements to OSHA Standard 29 CFR Part 1910 for general industry and to other federal, state, and local regulations. Contractors should obtain copies of the OSHA standards for the construction industry, 29 CFR Part 1926, and OSHA for general industry, 29 CFR Part 1910, prior to starting work at Daikin. Competent person means one who is capable of identifying existing and predictable hazards in the surroundings or working conditions which are unsanitary, hazardous or dangerous to employees, and who has authorization to take prompt corrective measures to eliminate them. OSHA 1926.32, F. Qualified means one who, by possession of a recognized degree, certificate, or professional standing, or who by extensive knowledge, training and experience, has successfully demonstrated his or her ability to solve or resolve problems relating to the subject matter, the work or the project. OSHA 1926.32, M. Daikin and OSHA standards require a competent person for activities such as fall protection, cranes, hot work, powered industrial vehicles, ladders, scaffolding, etc. Contractors must have the knowledge and competence to perform their work within the provisions of the ISO 14001 standard. The work that you perform may impact one or more of Daikin's significant environmental aspects. Please review the scope of work with your site contact to determine if additional controls are needed. All places of employment shall be kept clean and orderly. Materials and equipment shall be stored in designated places. Sharp projections, where injury may occur, shall be eliminated. Aisles and exits must be kept clear at all times and materials and equipment stored in designated places. Electrical cord sets and air hoses used in work area shall not create a tripping hazard. Objects shall not be stored on the top of any cabinets, electrical panels, etc. Chemical containers shall be stored properly at the end of the work shift. DTTP Recycling Guide. Cardboard. Remove packaging material and take cardboard to the baler near West Paint or to the cardboard compactors at dock doors 179, 709 or 711. Metals. Cans from these containers are taken to the waste management trailer. Paper. Paper should be taken to the waste management trailer. Plastic bottles and aluminum cans. Cans and bottles from these containers should be taken to the waste management trailer. Protect storm drains. Clean up spills immediately, and report to EHS. Keep chemical and waste storage areas clean. Nothing from the plant goes down the drain. Call EHS for hazardous chemical spills. Clean up all spills immediately to prevent contaminants from going into the storm drain. Use spill cleanup materials such as absorbent mats or booms to soak up spilled liquids. Any chemicals that the contractor brings on-site will need to be accompanied with a safety data sheet, SDS, and get prior approval from EH&S department. Once you have received approval and have the chemicals on-site, all handling and disposal of chemicals must follow Daikin rules and regulations. The contents of any waste generated must be identified and the environmental department must be notified of any waste that will be created to ensure proper profiling and disposal arrangements can be made. Under no circumstances may any material of any kind be discharged to any sewer or storm drain. These are the top 5 aspects and impacts for DTTP. Process step/area. Aspect. Impact. Brazing and coils department. Air emissions from brazing activity. Air contamination. X-ray testing and incoming quality. Use of the Portaspec to test paint. Radiation. Refrigerant testing and indoor assembly. Emissions from charging and testing units. Air contamination. Refrigerant testing and outdoor assembly. Emissions from charging and testing units. Air contamination. Refrigerant testing and VRV. Emissions from charging and testing units. Air contamination. For additional information regarding any specific regulations or concerns, please consult the local EH&S representative. Please keep in mind that in Daikin, safety is first. Thank you for watching this presentation. You have reached the end of this training. Please do not hesitate to contact the local EH&S representative if you have any questions.